Christina and the Complete Jew. A novel by Dr. A. Ahmed. This book continues the story of the Arab sugar daddy and the beautiful Indian girl, and the story of the Indian child bride and the old Arab husband, and also the story of the Indian Miss World and the rage of Muslims of the world. They have been written in English and translated into Arabic by the author Dr. Ahmed. This story resonates with genuine love, strong resilience, and steadfast courage. I invite you to accompany me as I continue narrating the story of the rare, fabulous beauty of the Indian girl, Ifat Khan, and her extremely beautiful mother, Rehana Khan. Before we dive in the tapestry of the story, I would like to remind the reader this novel is narrated in 6 books. Book 1, The Arab Sugar Daddy and the Beautiful Indian Girl. Book 2, The Indian Child Bride and the Old Arab Husband. Book 3, The Indian Miss World and the Rage of Muslims of the World. Book 4, Christina and the Complete Jew. Book 5, The Tears of God, Jews, Blacks, and Muslim Women. And Book 6, The Hidden Life of the Prophet Muhammad. This is an intriguing epic story which exhibits resilience, love, and sacrifice. Book 4. In Search of a Companion in Her Lonely Journey in Life. Copyrights. All rights are reserved. No part of this book may be reproduced, stored in a retrieval system, or transmitted in any form or by any means without the prior written permission of the author, except by a reviewer, who may quote brief passages from a review for printing in a public newspaper, general magazine, school journal, or university article. All characters in this novel are fictional, and any resemblance to actual persons, living or dead, is merely coincidental. Chapter 16. Christina visits an Islamic no-go zone. The place where Christina's Muslim mother is living is called Mumbai. It is a Muslim-dominated town in the Thane district in the state of Maharashtra. 80% of its population are Muslims. However, before the bloody religious riots of 1992, which resulted in the death of thousands of Hindus and Muslims, the town had a population of 44,000 people, but after that deadly religious and civil war, many Muslims fled from Mumbai and settled in Mumbai, and hence its population now is more than 900,000 people. It is a suburb 40 kilometers away from Mumbai, and is more like a large colloquial village. The town was founded by the Muslim Mughals who invaded the Hindu Valley through Afghanistan, under the leadership of Babur, and established the Islamic Mughal Empire in the Indian subcontinent. Babur was the great-grandson of the Mongol warrior Timur, in English Tamerlane, and a direct descendant of Genghis Khan. Under Tamerlane, or Timur the Lame, Islamic invaders reached up to India, Turkey, Moscow, and Baghdad. During those Islamic invasions, Tamerlane's army of Muslim mujahideen slaughtered 20 million non-Muslim people. The total number of non-Muslims who got killed by Muslim invaders during their spread of Islam by the sword is 270 million, of whom 80 million Hindus, 10 million Buddhists, 60 million Christians, and an uncountable number of Jews. The ex-Muslim woman's hut is in Mumbai town. Christina, having spent most of her life outside of India, is not familiar with the many cultures of the diverse ethnicities in Mumbai. In India, people identify you with the clothes that you wear. A Muslim man can recognize a Muslim girl if she is standing among thousands of Hindu, Sikh, and Buddhist girls. Likewise, a Christian Indian girl can be identified mostly through her Western clothes. On her visit to Mumbai, Christina dressed up as she was accustomed to wearing clothes in America. She is wearing tight jeans and a sleeveless shirt, with a large crucifix around her neck, and her body is decked with other costly jewelry. Her crucifix is tooled of pure gold. Her big rear is accentuated by the tight denim material, and her breasts are partially exposed. Not very eye-catching in the West, but positively scandalous in certain areas of India. Her attire can be described as what the Indians refer to as a hugging dress. She looks extremely sexy in her Western dress. In the neighborhood where she is living in Mumbai, and the church where she is attending, her Western dress is the norm, and many of her church mates dressed identically. However, in a Muslim male-dominated society, where she is supposed to meet her biological mother, her dress will attract much attention, and put her in serious trouble with the men. Many Muslims adhere to the idea that a scantily dressed young woman invites the crime of rape, and the onus remains on the girl for any untoward incidents. Christina spent half of her day traveling from the Bandra neighborhood to Mumbai town. She traveled by taxi, auto rickshaw, local train, bus, and finally cycle rickshaw. She is utterly exhausted by the end of her trip, having endured gropes all over her body such as pinches in her buttocks, caresses her cheeks, fondling of her breasts, feeling her bare shoulders, and all other over forms of sexual harassment from the sexually frustrated males of Mumbai. In the overcrowded local trains, a young and exceptionally beautiful girl like her can expect to be raped in broad daylight. Her biggest mistake, she jumped into the men's compartment, not realizing that local Mumbai trains allocated special compartments for ladies. The local buses are worse, not only are they packed to the brim, but she was so hemmed in that the men took it upon themselves to sexually indulge themselves on her. The way she is dressed made her even more vulnerable, tagging her as a loose girl, an available prostitute for every man. Young Indian women simply do not dress like that when traveling, and more so when they are without a male chaperone. Even young women who witnessed her extreme discomfort reasoned that she is asking for it and decided not to stand up for her. Some of them mistook her for a prostitute. One daring young man held Christina from behind, hugged her tightly, and began to rub his erected phallus on her buttocks, dry humping her until she screamed for rescue. An old woman shouted at him, so he let go of her body before he could ejaculate his semen on her dress. Another adventurous boy kissed her full on the lips and did not let go of her mouth until she bit him. She felt like a dog bitch followed by dogs in the street. Christina came out of that bus not only sexually assaulted and almost raped, but robbed of her golden cross too. What has made her vulnerable in that Muslim town is not just her lack of familiarity with the cultural norms or her mode of dress, but also the prominence of her cross. Indian Muslims believe that the Indian Christian girls are so westernized and thus freer than other vernacular Indian girls. So for them, a Christian girl can go with any man who wants her on his bed. What made it worse for Christina? Her obvious lack of a male companion. 2 of her volunteer helpers had forsaken her as soon as their hidden agendas did not work. The only volunteer who was able, by hook or by crook, to fulfill his hidden agenda was Brother Bruno. However, as soon as he succeeded in marrying her, he also stopped helping her in her citywide search for her Muslim mother. When Christina came to know the location of where her mother is living in Mumbai, she begged her Christian husband and asked him to accompany her, but he flatly refused. Naturally, Brother Bruno is not happy when he learns that after a year of a citywide search, his wife has finally found the place where her Muslim mother is staying. He instinctively knew that finding his mother-in-law would no doubt delay his trip to the promised land. Christina traveled from the civilized vicinity of Bandra to the uncivilized town of Mumbai. It is just like someone has traveled from one of the pinnacle cities of Western civilization, London, Paris, and New York, to the land of the greatest Islamic heritage, the dens of murderers, Al-Qaeda Mujahideen in Tora Bora in Afghanistan, or the ISIS warriors, the city of Baghdad in Iraq, or the city of terrorists of Al-Shabaab in Mogadishu in Somalia. Muslims in India live in colonies created by them in every major city. Most of those colonies have Islamic names, and only Muslims can enter and live in them. Just like Muslims in Europe, who have created no-go areas in many major European cities that are off-limits for non-Muslims, and Sharia law is applied to everybody living in them. There are thousands of no-go zones created by Muslims in every city in India. Sometimes, you can find the entire city is cordoned by Muslims such as Mumbai town, and woe to any non-Muslim trespasser. Without knowing that she is entering a no-go town of Muslims, the sexy American Christian girl, as one of the stray deer that crept into a dark den of wild beasts ventured into Mumbai. It took her 6 hours to reach her final destination. She left her apartment in Bandra at 8 a.m. and arrived in Mumbai at 2 p.m. Her real trouble only began as soon as she reached Mumbai town. Dozens of Muslim teen boys have followed her like dogs following a bitch in heat. Many Muslim children have joined the crowd and clustered around her, as if she is an alien creature who has suddenly descended in their town from another planet. Many Muslim women who have customarily wrapped from head to toe with their ubiquitous burqas made their discontent loudly known. As far as they are concerned, this young woman who suddenly appeared in their holy town is practically fully naked. Young girls stared at her as if she was a film star who mysteriously walked off the big silver screen of a movie theater and miraculously manifested herself in their town. Christina heard the women and girls talking to each other in Urdu and describing her in very derogatory words. Those Muslim women do not know that Christina was once a Muslim girl who likes them and knows their Urdu language. She heard them describing her as, "She is a Christian girl. She is a shameless girl. She is just like the streets hooker. She is an infidel girl. She is like a bitch who practices sex with men like dogs do it in the streets. She is a tawaif whore, out of those thousands of Mumbai's prostitutes." Voicing their insults from behind their burqas, those Muslim women appeared to Christina as black ghosts or the Halloween witches. In fact, she is not far from the truth. Behind those burqas, there are only bones and emaciated bodies of female-like creatures. Those black burqas are not a tiring of modesty and blessings, but great burden and curses on those poor creatures. Listing all the implications of purdah, or burqa, the father of Indian constitution, Dr. Ambedkar describes Muslim women as they are usually victims to anemia, tuberculosis, and pyorrhea. Their bodies are deformed, with their backs bent, bones protruded, hands and feet crooked. Ribs, joints, and nearly all their bones ache. Heart palpitations are very often present in them. The result of this pelvic deformity is untimely death at delivery. The process of moral degeneration must and does set in. Being completely secluded from the outer world, they engage their minds in petty family quarrels. The physical and intellectual effects of purdah are nothing as compared to its effects on morals. A social system that cuts off all contacts between the two sexes produces an unhealthy tendency towards sexual excesses and unnatural and other morbid habits and ways. It is responsible for the social segregation of Hindus from Muslims, which is the bane of public life in India. Quoted from Pakistan or the Partition of India, Dr. Ambedkar, Volume 8, Education Department, Government of Maharashtra, Mumbai, 1990, pages 230 to 232. The young Muslim boys went further than the women and began to say to each other, "I just want to stick my penis between her big buttocks and reach her ass and screw her until she cries. I want to put my big phallus in her mouth and makes her sucks it like a lollipop candy. My erect penis will begin with her breasts and then end up in her pussy and ejaculate my semen inside it." As a result, Christina has understood that if it is not for their women, those lustful boys might have gang-raped her in broad daylight. The vulgar remarks hit home, and the American girl has begun to feel very underdressed. She regretted putting on Western clothes. If she had any inkling as to those villagers' reaction, she would have put on a Pakistani salwar kameez and concealed her entire body by a big Indian sari. In some Muslim countries such as Egypt, a girl without an Islamic hijab or niqab will be splashed with burning acid. In Sudan, a girl without an Islamic dress, or if she is wearing trousers, will be arrested and given 53 lashes in the public gathering. Even a Sudanese Christian girl and a foreign female are not exempted from this law. Christina is tempted to confront those boys and rebuke them in Urdu, but held her tongue, knowing that as a mob, they can be aggressive, and who knows what can happen to her. She feigned ignorance and continued to walk along the narrow lanes with much trepidation. While she was walking, she saw human feces scattered everywhere, amid strewn household garbage and discarded items no longer worth salvaging. Human excrement is all around, some fresh and some crusty and dry. The entire town of Mumbra is just like a large filthy public washroom. Christina literally must hop over piles of feces to move forward. The open gutters, which are commonplace, emitted a nauseous smell that does not seem to bother those local Muslim residents. As if they are all of them immunized against the noxious and disease-airborne foul odor. She navigated the dark alley punctured with slivers of sunlight, bending over to avoid hitting the low roofs of the small huts. The distance between one row of huts and the other can hardly allow two people to walk abreast. Between every row of huts is the usual gutter filled with sewage from the small houses themselves. Sewer systems and cisterns are non-existent. Every hut with an open door open to children, and their parents stuffed like eggs in cartons into an incredibly small area. Christina wondered to herself how the children could remain alive, and not fall seriously ill, and die in those filthy and unhealthy pockets of human habitation. She remembered her huge $5 million mansion in America, and how she and her late husband, Uncle Jimmy, and their daughter Rehana, used to live comfortably. After walking for some time, Christina retrieved an address from her handbag given to her by the ex-Muslim woman who recently joined her church. She then showed her address to one of the boys who kept dogging her heels. He screened the writing and replied in Hindi, "No angries," which means I don't know English. She is surprised to hear him speak in Hindi. She did not expect that some of the Muslim boys can be bilingual. She started to speak to him in Hindi, reading out the address on her small slip of paper. The boy took her left hand and began to pull her along, as if she was his girlfriend or an acquaintance. Obviously, he is posturing and feeling proud, as his other friends started to protest in Urdu when she accepted his hand. She ignored the chatter and continued to walk with her new guide. Her guide beamed a big smile so with that you might have thought he is walking hand in hand with one of the two film actresses Katrina Kaif or Kareena Kapoor. Christina followed the boy from lane to lane and jumped over even more gutters and clumps of human waste until finally reached the hut in question. All time, the boy kept holding her hand, and the other boys became their entourage. Christina is surprised when an old woman, who is living in the front hut, told her that the hut she is inquiring about has not been inhabited by anyone for an exceedingly long time. Then she informed her that the Muslim woman, who used to live in that deserted hut, left her husband and children, and ran away with an uncircumcised Christian infidel man. For that reason, her Muslim husband could not live in the place due to the scandal of his bad wife. He just took his children and disappeared. No one knows where he is living now. Every now and then he sends someone out to try to sell his hut, but for many months, he has not been able to find anyone to buy it. That said, the old woman told Christina she believed that the Almighty Allah and His blessed Prophet Muhammad have placed a curse on the hut for the great unpardonable sin of the apostate Muslim wife. According to our blessed Sharia, that unfaithful wife is supposed to be buried in the ground up to her neck, and then stoned to death by men. She had not only forsaken her religion, but her husband and children to be with an uncircumcised infidel dog. She is now a Nasraniya, Christian woman, Murtada, an apostate woman, and Kafira, infidel woman, like her filthy infidel Christian lover. Christina understood that the angry old woman is talking about the ex-Muslim woman who gave her the address and directed her to the place where her Muslim mother is supposed to be found. Therefore, she is worried that the old woman may ask her about the woman who directed her to come to the desolate habitat. She knew about the conversion of the ex-Muslim woman, but she did not know that there is a secret love affair involved, which led that woman to forsake her family and hut and elope with a Christian man. Looking uneasily at the lodging, the old woman claimed that the hut is inhabited by evil jinns, ghosts and monsters. She said that many times she heard at night the voice of a woman screaming in anguish. With her loud screaming, she could hear the sounds of someone beating her with a heavy and big rod. Sometimes, she heard the voice of the same woman was shouting out, "I am burning in Gehenna." In Hebrew Sheol, in Greek called Gehenna, in English hell. The old woman went on to say, "Whenever I heard the voice of crying, I would peep through the door of the accursed haunted hut, but I have never seen anyone inside. May the exalted Allah forgive me." The old woman seemed to have made mistake in her story, and hence sought the forgiveness of her God. On one dark and hot night, resumed the old woman, I heard a very loud crying of a woman who is in severe torment. Before I went to the haunted hut, I did an ablution and offered a short prayer to Allah. After kneeling and prostrating twice before him, I beseeched him to show me what is going on in the life of that accursed ex-Muslim woman. When I went and peeped through a small hole in the door, I saw the apostate woman. She is bare naked like on the day her mother gave birth to her, and she is hanging through her breasts with fetters and shackles holding her like a woman being crucified upside down. A huge flame of fire is burning beneath her and consuming her unclean and defiled body. Christina suddenly interrupted that never-ending story from one of those old ladies' fables and told the old woman that she is searching for a Muslim woman by the name of Begum Rehana Sheikh al-Din Khan. She is shocked when she hears the boy who has brought her there, and other boys who are still following her, replying in unison in Urdu, "We know her." She is also so surprised that all those boys know her mother by name. The boy who was still holding her hand said to her, "I can take you to the house of Begum Rehanaji." Chapter 17. What will happen when a Christian girl enters a Muslim no-go zone? Christina's heart began to beat fast and loud as she neared the house of her mother. She can tell she is closer as the footsteps of her guides quickened in unison. She did not see her Muslim mother since she got separated from her as a female child of 7. She is not expecting her mother to recognize her after so many years. All she is longing for is to hug and kiss her mother. She has very few memories of her mother that are still stored in her subconscious mind. It was she who took her to that hellish country of the Arabs which is called the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. It was she who had abandoned her to the whims and evil sexual fancies of the pervert Saudi oldman Sheikh Faiz bin Ahmed. It was only when she found out through the American female judge during the beauty pageant in London that her mother had been falsely accused of all her crimes of polyandry and theft, and then did her mindset change to allow her to see the truth. Her mother was just as much a victim as she was. When she finally came to learn of her mother's sacrifice of her lover and husband Jamal Khan for her only daughter Ifat Khan, she, at last, understood the kind of noble heart beating in her mother's chest. Christina was surprised when she saw the house the boy pointed out. He announced the place where Begum Rehanaji lives with her husband, the mullah, and the imam of the mosque Sheikh al-Din Khan. It is not like the other small huts. It is a big house built out of concrete, cement, and bricks. It is a 3-story building, but looks like a skyscraper among those small thousands of huts. It is a combination of 3 houses joined together to house the 3 rival wives of the great Imam. It has beautiful outside stairs that lead to each house. The 3rd wife is on the lower floor, the 2nd wife is on the middle floor, and the 1st wife is on the top floor. It has 3 outside doors, and the boy helpfully pointed out the door to the home of Begum Rehanaji, which opens directly on the street. When Christina asked him about the other 2 doors, he said to her they are the doors of the other 2 wives of the Mullah Sheikh al-Din Khan. She wondered as to why her mother would agree to marry a man who is already having other 2 wives. She thought that she might have agreed to marry him because of his religious status, or because she was a divorcee with 3 children. Christina has become worried about the reaction of her stepfather when he sees her in her Western dress. Because he is a religious leader, she expected that he may not approve of her tight jeans and sleeveless blouse. He may ask her to put on an Islamic niqab, as all the women have on. She thought that her mother may not like her dress too. She wishes that she can be able to borrow or purchase an Islamic hijab or niqab from one of those fully burqa-clad girls who are like black ghosts that kept following her all the time like the shadows of those boys. As soon as they reached the big house, she asked the boy to knock on the door to her mother's residence. The boy refused to do so. He told her that the Mullah Sheikh al-Din Khan does not like any man to knock on his door or visit one of his 3 wives. So Christina gathered her courage and knocked on the door of Begum Rehanaji. She expected her mother to show up at any moment, but after a few minutes, she saw the door opening and there standing a big man. He is huge and has an exceedingly long beard. He looks like the Taliban or the ISIS terrorists that she saw every now and then in Western TV clips. As a matter of fact, the Mullah Sheikh al-Din Khan traced his ancestry to the Mughals and proudly claimed in his sermons every Friday that he is a direct descendant of the Mughal emperors Akbar the Great, Babur, Timur, Tamerlane, and Genghis Khan. From the founder of the great Mongol Empire, Genghis Khan, which means King of Kings, Mullah Sheikh al-Din Khan claimed to have acquired his royal last name, Khan. If it weren't for the accursed British colonists who abolished the Mughal Empire in India, repeatedly claimed the Mullah Sheikh al-Din Khan, I would have been a Mughal emperor today, and I would have ruled India from Kanyakumari in the south to Kashmir in the north and from Calcutta in the east to Mumbai in the west. The mullah's face is devoid of any friendly look. He rather looks serious and angry. He is carrying his prayer rosary in his left hand and a big stick in his right hand. He screened Christina from head to toe before he asked her in Urdu in a harsh voice, "What do you want?" His harsh voice and the fierce in his eyes tempted Christina to run for her life, but somehow, she stood her ground and answered his question. "I have come to meet Begum Rehanaji Sheikh al-Din Khan." "Who are you and what is your name?" "My name is Christina Fernandez." "Are you a social worker?" Religious leaders, politicians, and police officers in India scare of social workers more than they scare of Satan and all his demons. "I am not." "What do you want from my woman, Rehana?" "I am her daughter, and I have come to see my mother." "What did you say?" shouted the Imam in astonishment. "I am Rehana's daughter. My wife never had a daughter in all her life. Maybe she did not tell you about me, but I am the daughter of her first husband." "That couldn't possibly happen. Your name is Christina Fernandez, and you look like a Christian woman, and my wife is a Muslim." "I was a Muslim too, but a little over a year ago, I converted to Christianity." The Mullah Sheikh al-Din Khan felt as if the wife of the devil, or his demonic daughter, has appeared to him in the form of a female creature, and is about to tempt him to eat from the forbidden tree. Therefore he decided first to ask Allah's protection from Satan before he must carry on a stand-up fight with him. Ayuzabil Allah mina al-shaitan al-rajim, I seek refuge in Allah from the accursed devil. May the curses of Allah and his angels and all people be upon you. Go away from in front of my house, you dirty Nasrania, unclean Christian woman. Go from here, Najisa and Kafra, a defiled infidel woman. I don't want to see your accursed face again. Then the Mullah Khan slammed the door of his house in his stepdaughter's face. Christina did not like his words, nor his reaction too. She decided to challenge him and force him to call her mother to meet her. So she has knocked on the door even harder than before, agitating the man, her stepfather. The Mullah Sheikh al-Din Khan reopened his door, and when he found Christina still standing there, he yelled at her face. I have told you to go away. I don't want to see you again standing in front of my house. I haven't come to see you. I have come to meet my mother. I have the right to see my mother, and my mother has the right to meet me. You have lost the right to meet any Muslim person. You have left Islam and become an apostate girl. I am telling you for the last time, go away from here. I don't want to see you in this Muslim town again. I am going from here directly to the police. I am going to complain that you have locked my mother inside your house, and you haven't allowed her to meet her own daughter. The mullah Sheikh al-Din Khan ignored the threats of his unwanted female visitor. He looked at the Muslim boys who were standing and forming a half-circle around Christina, and said to them angrily, "Is this the way you would like your imam to be insulted and challenged by the dirty woman, who is a filthy murtada girl, kafira, and street randy? A female apostate, infidel, and street hooker, and all of you are standing and listening without doing anything. Shame on you coward boys. I will ask the exalted Allah and His holy Prophet Muhammad to curse and punish you all if you don't beat and kick away this filthy infidel woman who dared to insult your blessed imam." The words of the angry mullah became like a fatwa, a religious divinely inspired decree usually issued to instigate violence against an enemy, which suddenly changed the attitudes of the young boys towards Christina. Before that fatwa, they are lusting after her semi-nude body and beauty, but after they heard the words of their religious leader, they felt they have been given a divine license to carry out their heart's contents on the so-called street hooker. They understood from her conversation with their mullah that she was a Muslim before, and she had forsaken Islam and became a Christian girl. They also understood that she fooled them and made them believe that she does not know their Urdu language, but her conversation with their religious leader revealed that she is speaking perfect Urdu, and that proved she was born and brought up as a Muslim girl but forsook Islam and became an infidel dog and street slut. Consequently, their lusts are mingled with religious frenzy. They became so enraged as if they had been suddenly possessed by demons of lust which blinded them and turned them into ferocious animals. All of a sudden, the furious Muslim boys attacked the defenseless girl, like a pack of male dogs that have a female dog being cornered with no means of escape. Their unexpected action made the American girl Christina believe as if those boys are suddenly got possessed by demons of rage and lust. One of them jumped over her, grabbed her sleeveless shirt, and tore it into two halves. Another boy joined him, and began to pull down her jeans. They are like two hungry wolves tearing the flesh of helpless prey. Yet, another boy caught hold of her bra and snatched it from her. Her big breasts popped out immediately. When her shoulders, chest, breasts, stomach, and belly button have become fully exposed, the boys became like hungry wild beasts that saw fresh meat uncovered before them. When Christina overcame the shock, she discovered the upper part of her body was fully exposed. She started to fight back and push away their hands that were trying to pull down her jeans and expose her underwear. When she realized that this was not a battle she was about to win, she began to scream at the top of her voice. She hopes that her mother may hear her screaming and come out for her rescue. The Mullah Shaitan al-Din Khan has already retreated and closed the door of his house after he has farted out that satanic fatwa, which is as dirty fart as the feces of his unclean ass. Christina's cries for help made many other Muslim women and men come out of their huts. They are all shocked when they saw the half-naked girl is surrounded by more than 10 boys who are trying to strip her clothes off and rape her in a broad daylight. The boys managed to remove her shirt and bra but could not pull out her jeans. Luckily, her jeans trouser was built to take abuse, and its zips, buttons, and rivets held tight. Nevertheless, 2 big boys knocked her down, jumped on her fallen body, and continued their efforts trying to strip her fully naked and rape her. They have already pulled down their Islamic pajamas and underwear until their erected phalluses became visible to all. Those 2 boys came late and joined the group without Christina noticing their presence. Those 2 human beasts are big and tough and look like 2 lions, and the other boys are as small as dogs compared to them. They are so blinded by their lusts that they felt nothing can stop them from raping the Christian infidel girl in broad daylight, and before all the astonished male and female onlookers. Christina gave up hope, and knew she could do nothing to prevent those human beasts from raping her. In her desperate condition, she wished the earth to open and swallow her up alive. She had never expected that one day she would be so humiliated and publicly abused, and almost gang-raped in broad daylight. She just continued to cry and begged the women to come to her rescue. When no one came for her rescue, Christina remembered God and offered a prayer to him. An old woman suddenly stepped forward and began to shout and push away those two boys from Christina. Her noble action led other women to join her and force the boys to desist. However, some wicked young Muslim women requested the two boys to carry the apostate whore somewhere else and rape her to death in the jungle. In the meantime, the same old woman removed her black burqa, handed it over to Christina, and told her to stand up and wrap it around her exposed chest and breasts. Christina forced her dormant body and stood on her feet. Then she donned the burqa and covered her entire body. She is shaking like a reed, and her entire body is aching, bleeding, and sweating. She is still crying so loudly that her screams drew many stray dogs and made them bark and howl. The kind old woman held her body until she felt she can stand by herself. Then she told her to leave the Muslim town and go from where she came, and requested her never to come back again. After her rescue, Christina decided to go to the police station and lodged a complaint against her evil stepfather who instigated the boys into a mob of frenzy and has them abuse her to that extent. She determined to make her stepfather pay to the full extent of the law and spend his time behind bars. She is still crying when the old woman gave her the burqa. She asked one of the women to tell her where the nearest police station is. None of the women is willing to take a risk and come in between their religious leader and the Nasrani prostitute. They know that their husbands for sure will hammer them to death if they learn that their wives went against the Imam Sheikh al-Din Khan and took the side of an infidel bitch. Additionally, many of the attacking boys are their own sons and brothers. Besides, the women do not want to bring scandal to their town by causing the imam of their mosque to be arrested under the charge of instigating their sons to rape an infidel intruder girl. The old woman once again advised the Nasrani girl to leave their Muslim town as soon as possible, particularly before dusk, in case the boys decided to take advantage of the darkness and try to rape her again. Christina accepted her wise advice and began to walk away. This time, no one is willing to be her guide. She turned into an alley and began to walk aimlessly without knowing where her alley was going to take her. The boys kept following the infidel Christian girl, as if she is a prostitute, who dared to enter their holy, no-go zone, town which is for Muslims only. Thankfully, the multitude of women and children who accompanied her prevented the boys from attacking her again, until she emerged from the huts of her abusers and rapists. Chapter 18. Christina gets sexually assaulted in an Islamic police station. Christina determined to make her stepfather pay for his high-handedness in her public assault and evil crime. She knew he had no right to prevent her from seeing her mother and certainly no right to incite the boys into a frenzy and abuse, and almost they had gang-raped her in front of his residence. She stopped the first rickshaw taxi she saw and made the driver take her to the nearest police station with all the haste possible. It took the rickshaw over an hour to go through tapered alleys and crooked lanes until it reached a police station. All the way along, Christina's badly battered body kept on moving backward and forwards, swinging sideways, jumping up and down, and her head hitting the roof of the small rickshaw. After a long rough drive, the rickshaw stopped in front of an old place. The driver pointed her to that place which he claimed to be a police station. The place looks like a hiding place for thieves and terrorists rather than a house of the law. The rickshaw driver took his money and vanished in a minute. Christina found herself standing in a dark alley. In front of her, there is a small decrepit building, which appeared to her like haunted by scary demons and ghosts. She hesitated before she pushed the door open and walked in. When she entered the so-called police station, she has found two policemen. One of them is already intoxicated. While talking to him, she could smell the foul odor of the local liquor of the Indian Daro permeating off his mouth. The other policeman is chewing red Indian pan, which made him look as if he is a cannibal beastman eating raw human flesh. His mouth is so stuffed with the red leaves that it are causing him to turn his face every couple of minutes to his side and vomit the red liquid out, which looked like human blood. He looks so disgusting and repulsive to Christina. Oxycated policeman introduced himself as Sergeant Mehboob and said his companion is called Constable Tahir. In the third world every man goes by his first name, and only when he prints his name, he must include his middle name and last name. The female is addressed by her male close relatives such as the wife or woman of Ahmed, or the daughter of Musa, or the sister of Hassan. Both policemen are Muslims. It seemed that in that Islamic no-go zone town every creature is Muslim, even their god, demons, and dogs are Muslims too. The Quran teaches that there are It seemed that in that Islamic no-go zone town every creature is Muslim, even their god, demons, and dogs are Muslims too. The Quran teaches that there are Muslim demons, and there are infidel devils. See Surah Al-Najm 72, verses 1-2. Say, O Prophet, it has been revealed to me that a group of jinn listened to the Quran, and said to their fellow jinn, Indeed, we have heard a wondrous recitation. It leads to right guidance, so we believed in it, and we will never associate anyone with our Lord in worship. Based on this teaching, many Muslim men claim to have married female demons, Muslim jinnah, and begot sons and daughters, and likewise, many Muslim women got wedded to male demons, jinn, and have progeny by them. They said only they and their demonic life partners can see their half-human and half-devil children. Also, no one can see the demonic husband or satanic wife except his human wife, or her husband from the sons of Adam and Eve. They claim those jinni are sexually hot creatures, and love to do sex with them every second and every minute. Next, Sergeant Mehboob, who claimed he was the one in charge, began to ask Christina embarrassing questions. Christina told him that she came to lodge a complaint against the Mullah Sheikh Uldin Khan. The reason for her complaint is that he forbade her to meet her mother, who is one of his 3 wives, and that he encouraged some boys to rape her. How many boys have raped you, and where have they raped you? I don't know how many of them, but around 12 boys. It is in front of the mullah's house. Have all the 12 boys raped you, or some of them? In other words, how come all of them have raped you in your one pussy simultaneously, and you haven't died? Yes, all of them tried to rape me. You just told me they have raped you, and now you are saying they tried to rape you. My question to you, have they all raped you or not? They have torn my shirt in 2 halves and snatched away the bra, and fully exposed my breasts, and the upper part of my body. Then they attempted to rape me in front of many people. If my jeans weren't securely fastened to my body, they would have pulled it out and raped me on broad daylight while hundreds of men and women were looking at us. How come you are a Muslim girl and wearing jeans and a shirt underneath your black burqa? Christina hesitated to answer his question. His question has an evil catch in it. If she will say that she is not a Muslim, then he may say why you are putting on a Muslim burqa. And if she will say she was a Muslim but converted to Christianity, he may turn against her and try to accuse her of a false charge and lock her up. She remembered the reaction of the mullah when she told him about her conversion from Islam to Christianity. So she preferred not to respond to that tricky question. When she remained silent, the sergeant looked at her for a while and then asked her, "Are you a prostitute from Ferris Road in Mumbai or just a street hooker?" "I am neither. I came to visit my mother, but her wicked husband, the Mullah Sheikh Uldin Khan, did not allow me to see her. He told the boys to attack me and beat me up. Istagfirullah, I ask Allah's forgiveness. How dared you call our righteous Imam, the Mullah Sheikh Uldin Khan, a wicked man? Are you a Christian infidel girl, or a Hindu polytheist woman?" Meanwhile, the other policeman is listening and writing down what Christina is saying. When he heard her unacceptable blasphemous words about his religious leader, he stopped his writing and looked at her with an extremely angry face. Then the outraged constable, Tahir, shouted out, "Do you have any proofs to show us that those Muslim boys have raped you?" "Yes, I have. They tore my shirt and pulled the bra out of my chest and exposed my breasts." "Can you open your burqa and show us how they tore your shirt?" resumed the intoxicated Sergeant Mehboob. "I can't do that, sir. I will remove my burqa in the presence of a female police officer, or in the hospital to a female doctor, or a woman nurse." "You have to show us your torn clothes now," shouted again Constable Tahir. "No, sir. I am not going to show you my exposed body. We are policemen, and we have the right to see how your clothes have been torn by your attackers," insisted the drunkard policeman. "The American girl has found herself as one of the helpless deer that ran from ravenous wolves, and the wicked terrorist religious mobster, and sought refuge into the den of two hungry beasts, who claim to be police officers who are supposed to protect society. Christina is also like an innocent girl who has run from her evil stepfather and looked for justice from Gondas, dangerous bandits, or the city gangsters. In the third world, the most dangerous person for the young woman is the policeman. In that part of the world, a girl can be raped by policemen inside a police wagon, or a police force lockup or interrogation room. In Mumbra, Muslim men saw in the unveiled woman nothing except a slice of uncovered meat, and believe it is their divine right granted by their God Allah to devour it. Christina understood that those policemen are trying to take advantage of her dire situation. It is already dark, and the police station is in an isolated area. There is hardly anyone to be seen in that place. Christina stood up and tried to walk out of their small office. At that moment, the intoxicated Sergeant Mehboob held her from behind and closed her mouth. The constable Tahir pulled out her burqa and left her with her torn sleeveless shirt and jeans only. She has no bra on her breasts. The entire upper part of her body has been exposed again. The sight of her exposed breasts drew those wicked policemen extremely crazy. They became like ferocious animals that saw fresh meat uncovered before their red eyes. They violently twisted her hands and forced her to kneel on the floor and pulled out her jeans and her red underwear. Like wild beasts that caught hold of a defenseless stray deer, the two vile policemen began to devour Christina's body as if they have never touched a woman before. She thought that she would not survive the brutal way those two human beasts had begun brutally raping her inside their police station. In her desperate struggle to stop them from raping her, Christina remembered how her mother was raped many years before in the Sahara Desert of Saudi Arabia by two wicked Arab police officers. She felt as if it was a curse that had passed from mother to daughter. It is all because of her visit to her Muslim mother unaccompanied by a male chaperone to protect her from those human beasts. Christina could not stand the impact of that vicious assault for even a few minutes. Her delicate body has been fully crushed beneath the heavy weight of those violent policemen. She lost consciousness before they raped her. Nonetheless, her lifeless body has not hindered them from carrying out their evil act. After violently and repeatedly raping her body, the two policemen took her in their wagon, drove many miles away from Mumbra town, and threw her unconscious body in the jungle. They concluded that she is already dead and gone forever, and hence they have not seen there is a need to murder her. In that lonely jungle, they knew that no one would come there to find her body, and she was going to be consumed by wild beasts. Therefore, the two evil Muslim policemen just dumped her remains in the open without bothering themselves to bury her dead body. Then they drove back to their den of murderers and rapists, which they called the police station, chatting and cracking jokes with each other as if nothing had happened.